Okay. Why not a 10?
Why not? Germany.
Fair enough.
And also, no one's perfect. It's like, what could he do? But also, there's always stuff that you can do.
I suppose, yeah, he could have won like 8 races instead of 7 or however many he's had so far. How would you rate him then, Mikhail? I imagine it's been quite a painful season as a Bottas fan so far.
Yeah, it has been. No, I mean, yeah, I'm on the same line as Owain, probably 9.5, just because of the fact that he's been almost perfect. Perfect up to the point that it's, as boring as I guess the best Mercedes dominant seasons have been, except that now he doesn't have a Nico Rosberg pushing him to the wall almost. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, as a Finnish person, as a Bottas fan, it's something painful to watch, but at the same time, like, it's very realistic that he's gonna, probably take the championship, let's say 5 rounds before the season ends.
Yeah, it does seem like he's champion. Like, he has, I mean, may not be getting a perfect rating so far, but he has been the class of the field so far this season, wouldn't you say, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. I'd also go with a 9. I mean, you have got Germany as is probably the biggest black mark, but also like Bottas wasn't being walked all over by him initially, so he did at least have a fight on his hands. So I mean, you can't say he had a perfect season, otherwise he would have walked away with absolutely everything right now. But yeah, like you say, it's hard to argue with with the idea that he'll wrap it up early.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is easy to forget that it was 2 wins for 2 at the start of the season. It was pretty even, and people were talking about Bottas being a real challenger this season. I'd give Hamilton a 9.5 out of 10 as well. I think Germany is the one black mark, but that was just an absolute freak of a race. A lot of people struggled. I mean, Kvyat got a bloody podium. So, anything was possible in Hockenheim this year. Very, very unique set of circumstances. I mean, you could argue Austria as well, but the Mercedes was really struggling that weekend with overheating. So other than that, it's been, I mean, I've got the results in front of me now. It's been first or second every race other than that, and almost all firsts.
Yeah.
Okay, so we mentioned Bottas before. What would you rate his season so far out of 10, Mikhail?
I mean, I would go with a solid 8. Just because, I mean, we knew coming into the season what he needed to do is just to maintain his place at Mercedes yet again. And I mean, he started really strong. Obviously, we all remember Australia and, talking about Bottas 2.0. But I mean, even back then, I kind of thought, well, he probably doesn't have the stamina to perform at a level above Lewis Hamilton throughout the season, which, I mean, has proven to be the case. But I mean, yeah, a solid 8.5. I doubt that he's going to lose his seat to Ocon, even with all the Instagram hassle going on. I'm pretty certain he's taking a. I think there was a Finnish newspaper that already said that he has made a 1+1 agreement with Mercedes already last weekend, but obviously, like, nothing certain on that. So he's done a solid job. Probably going to take the 2nd place in the championship. Hopefully, a solid 8 so far.
Yeah, I'd agree with around that as well. And I think he has done enough to maintain his place. I mean, it's like Barrichello back in the days when he was at Ferrari with Schumacher. Yeah, he's nowhere near his team.
Yeah, kind of.
Results. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're still 1-2 in the championship. So I think he'll be there for another year at least. What do you think, Jack? How would you rate Bottas so far this season?
I'll probably give him 7.5. Pretty much mirroring Mikhail's thoughts. I'll be honest, I thought his momentum would last a bit more, to be honest. But he's a solid support driver, and on his day he can really take the fight. He can I was literally going on yeah, there is still some of that fight that we saw in Australia. So he'll still give one of for his money, but I don't think he's worth. It's not no point in him losing a seat to McDonald's. Not after the way he's going. He's too strong of a driver to risk that change and risk upsetting the balance, and that will matter more to Mercedes as a constructor to keep them at the top of the pile more than any drivers' championship would.
Yeah, they want to keep the continuity in there because it has been a relatively stable set of staff, especially at the top. I mean, the drivers too. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it again. How would you rate him so far, Wayne, out of 10?
Maybe a 7, 8-ish. You know, he's not really put a foot wrong. You know, apart from, you know, the last 2 races he's had a drop off in performance. You know, with the DNF and then
Germany was a massive shunt.
Well, yeah, that one. I think with Germany, like, it was a 50-50. If you happened to make a mistake, then it was a 50-50 as to whether you ended up in the wall pretty hard or not.
But at the same time, I mean, he should have just driven it safely, and even taking, I don't know, like 4th to 2nd place against Lewis is no points would have still made a massive difference compared to the situation we're in now. So
yeah, I mean,
unfortunate.
He'd be closer by sort of 20 points or so. I don't know what the end in Hungary was. I think he just kind of got left behind a little bit. But you know, apart from that, he's been no lower than 4th all season, which is pretty good.
I mean, it's a big gap in the championship. It's 62 points, I believe, which looks really bad. But again, you're comparing it to Hamilton, who've just been absolutely on fire this season. I'd probably go about a 7 for Bottas. It's been a good season, but it's just undermined by how good Hamilton's been. He's just been on another level, but he has to pick up the form because obviously he crashed out in Germany, finished 8th in Hungary thanks to incidents of his own. He's got to perform in Spa, otherwise he'll have a bit more pressure on him the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, so going 3rd in the championship, and a guy who you could argue, one of the few people you could argue has been better than Lewis Hamilton this season. Max Verstappen of Red Bull. He's only 7 points behind Bottas so far. I mean, how good has Verstappen been this season, Jack?
It's been meteoric, hasn't it? Yeah, it means for him to be in 3rd, I don't think any of us really saw that happening. Maybe more on account of the Honda partnership, but I mean, that's proved to be absolute rubbish. Yeah, going back to something you said earlier about Bottas being pretty secure in 2nd, I wouldn't say so because Verstappen, has got so much momentum now.
Yeah.
Got so much behind him. And he doesn't look like he's backing off anytime soon. So, yeah, I'm just super impressed by how he's been handling it. Probably exaggerated a little bit by Gasly, who I'm sure we'll get onto later. But, yeah, like it'll be interesting to see how the second half goes.
Yeah, I think obviously he's done miles better than his teammate. We'll go on to Gasly soon. But I think the fact that he's 3rd overall in the Drivers' Championship would have been 2nd overall if he won in Hungary, which he nearly did. The fact that he's 3rd overall in the Drivers' Championship with arguably the 3rd best car is really impressive. Do you think, Mikhail?
Yeah, it's incredible. But at the same time, I mean, it's difficult to say how much, because we don't have a good comparison because of Gasly not being able to perform. You can't really say how much his 3rd place is because of Ferrari going down instead of Verstappen going up. Yeah. Obviously, his form has been amazing because he's been able to fight Hamilton and beat Bottas, for example. But I'd really like to see whether or not, if Ferrari, as I believe, will up their performance in the second half of the season, if Verstappen is still able to be miles ahead of them, or if they are able to catch him and maybe even beat him in that case.
I think Albon's got a hell of a job on for him to try and match Verstappen. He really has a very, very difficult task. But yeah, Verstappen, if I had to rate him out of 10 so far this season, I think I'd give him the same as Hamilton. I'd give him a 9.5. What do you think, Owen? How highly did he be rated for this season so far?
I mean, I don't know which kind of way I'm falling on it, whether Gasly's underperforming in that car massively and, you know, dragging it down, or whether Verstappen is pulling it up by a significant amount.
Really?
I mean, he's above both Ferraris, and the Ferraris are not slow, but, you know,
yeah.
I think it might be a bit of both, to be honest, but he's just so good. You know, he doesn't really put a foot wrong, which is working out well. It's just one of those things of, you know, if you just keep picking up the results, you're going to do decently well. But the turn in form recently in the last sort of 4 races has been amazing. Yeah,
it's been incredible. Like the only man who's not a Mercedes driver to win a race this season as well. We haven't mentioned that. I mean, he's won as many races this season as Bottas in the Merc.
Yeah, exactly. So incredible. It's Yeah. Yeah, he's like a 9.5. I mean, I would even go as far as 10, but I mean, especially for the last 4 races.
What would you say, Jack? I don't think you mentioned how much out of 10 you give him.
I'd say I'd give it a 9. I mean, it was mentioned as well, like, that position is probably helped out by Ferrari's questionable performances. Because their car probably should be higher rated than the Red Bulls. But even like just focusing on the on-track action and like the battles we had with especially Leclerc, but also we saw with Hamilton until the tactics kind of got fell in Hamilton's favour. I'd say he's at least as good in what he can do in like equal machinery with Leclerc and Hamilton. I don't think that's really up for any question.
Yeah, so superb for Verstappen. We'll obviously get onto the other Red Bull driver pretty soon. But the Ferraris now. 4th in the championship is Sebastian Vettel, who, despite being ahead of his teammate in the standings, perhaps is not, well, he's definitely not performed as a lot of people would have expected. But is that the fault of the car? What do you think, Owain?
I don't know. I think the car's not good enough. You know, the car is clearly on certain days being slower than the Red Bull, which it really shouldn't with the kind of power unit it's got in it. But you know, Vettel's not been higher than second, all season in a car that was a race-winning car in Bahrain. You know, in Bahrain he was 5th. You know, that's a race-winning car that should have won, and for whatever reason he can only get it to second. I mean, he had a really, really good day in Hungary and Germany as well, because in Germany he didn't put a foot wrong. Just did not put a foot wrong. Just drove around and let everyone else fall by the wayside really, and profited off of it. But he's I think he's good. He's maybe a 7.5.
7.5. I wouldn't go that high personally. Because he has made some big mistakes, obviously. In Bahrain, made that mistake. You could argue made a mistake in Canada, but I think incredibly hard done by on the penalty. Definitely made a mistake in Silverstone. I'd probably give Vettel about a 6 personally. What do you think, Mikhail?
I'd give him a 7. That's exactly because I don't know how much of the fault is to the car compared to the driver. But obviously, like, even with all the hype going around Charles Leclerc, I was still on the fence on whether Vettel would just completely overpower him this season or not. Because I think he kind of should, considering he's been with the team all along and he is a 4-time world champion. So the fact that he hasn't, I mean, yeah, he's ahead of Leclerc in the championship, but that's not what you think if you just don't look at the statistics, but look at the actual season. You think he would be behind. But yeah, I mean, Vettel should have won in Canada, in my opinion. At the same time, Leclerc should have won in Bahrain without the mechanical issues. So it's difficult to say, but I'll go with a 7 because he's done a solid job if the car is shit, and not that good of a job if the car is actually, better than a Mercedes, which is not.
No, it's a long way off the Mercedes, isn't it? What do you think?
Probably rate him at 6.5. The car does seem to have pace. It's probably not like even Mercedes say it's not, but it's probably not. It's probably a good car, but they've probably also been hampered by their own tactics. Some of these races, Ferrari reliably stated the car will be favour Vettel. More back to So I don't think it's. I think it's close to and some of the things like that in early races not happened. Well, as you said, it seems like quite a few players, which we wouldn't expect.
Yeah, fair enough. When I go to your next track, do you mind just bringing you're on your phone on? Do you mind bringing it closer? Because it's a bit hard to hear you. But yeah, so Leclerc, let's move on to him. Now, fair to say, another big surprise this season has been very impressive. It is behind his teammate in the championship, but it's only his 2nd season in F1. I think it's quite hard to give him a rating, but I'd definitely give him a high rating. What do you say, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, I probably make him an 8, to be honest. I do think he is the superior of the two. That's the thing. But it's one of those where some of his performance has been marked by outside influences out of his control. So, I mean, I can't really fault him for or anything like that. Yeah, I'd say he's really, really impressive.
Yeah, he's been very good. I mean, he has had chances to win. You could argue Austria was a chance to win too. But Verstappen was absolutely on fire that weekend. It's hard to judge. It's one of them where he's been very impressive, but he's still not got the win. So
yeah, there are areas where like you can say he's still to mature, like Monaco. He went way too aggressive.
he did, yeah.
Really decent points. And then threw it away, arguably, when it gets too aggressive on the Renault. So it's an area that he's maturing quickly, you know. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not up to early. It's just I think to learn fast. But he's certainly taking better than quite a few people. But in that position in a car that you'd expect is certainly quite
I'd probably give him like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 so far this season. What do you say, Owain?
You know, he's done quite well for what is a rookie season. You know, he's a little bit behind, obviously his teammate, but his teammate's a 4-time world champion winner. You know, it's not gone entirely to plan, but he's done well. He's not done too badly, I think. For you know, I think he's causing questions in Ferrari. You know, normally you'd go with a slam dunk sort of Vettel's first driver, and then anyone else is the second driver, but especially with the kind of contract they're on. You know, Leclerc's causing issues with that, which is, I think that's indicative of how good he's been. So he's probably about an 8. You know, over the course of the season. Points are a bit down, but he has had a couple of DNFs and lower finishes, so I'm not too sure about that. But he's definitely causing a few issues for Vettel, at least.
What do you think, Mikhail?
Yeah, I'd go for an 8, I think. Because what we have to remember is the fact that I remember Binotto saying in the beginning, Ferrari team principal, that Vettel is number 1 and Leclerc is number 2, and there's no questioning that. So the fact that this has that stopped being the case after 4 or 5 seasons, 5 races into the season, but he's done well. And as I mentioned earlier, like I was expecting him, even though like great performances and everything, I was expecting for him to kind of fall further behind Vettel than he has. So yeah, he's done a good job. We can take like Monaco types of like dark moments. It's okay, considering that Ferrari knows they took a risk on him instead of continuing with Kimi. But yeah, he's done a good job. I honestly don't know if he'll take his first victory or not this season. That's the one thing I'm, a little bit jittery about, I guess.
Yeah. And yeah, he's done very well. You know, he's a young driver in his second full season of Formula One. But a driver that is in his second full season of Formula One and not done very well is the man in 6th in the championship, Pierre Gasly, who is now formerly of Red Bull Racing, now currently with Toro Rosso for the rest of the season. Now, this is going to be interesting.
Well, I mean, it's great to be on the 6th place as a Toro Rosso driver, so you can't say it's too bad. I mean, he'll probably be 6th on a Toro Rosso, so I guess it's a good job.
It's really not a big gap to make up though for Albon. Like if Albon can just 5 races and Albon could be way ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've just got the championship, but now he's only 5 points ahead of Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. Don't get me wrong, we'll get on to Sainz. He's had an unbelievable season. McLaren with a big upturn in form, but 5 points, that's, how much is that? That's 8th, 7th place, something like that. That's all that is. And Gasly is only retired from 2 races, I think, Germany and Azerbaijan. That's it. So he's not even had that much reliability. So Mikhail, what would you rate Gasly out of 10 so far this season?
I mean, I don't know. I'll have to go with a 2. I would give him a 1, but he's had a few fastest laps in the races, so I'll give him a 2 out of 10. I mean, you can't really go too much higher considering he's being demoted. But yeah, I mean, seriously, the beginning of the season was awful considering that he wasn't able to make the Q3 in, I think, the first 3 or 2 qualifyings anyway,
Terrible,
in a car that should have definitely been there. And yeah, it's been awful. The fact that he hasn't had that many DNFs is kind of surprising because you would imagine that he's done them to his own fault, but only 2, it's okay. But yeah, the fact that he is only 5 points ahead of McLaren in a car that Verstappen has been able to win races. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how Albon fares. If he doesn't do any better, then I guess, it doesn't set Gasly off of the pressure, but at least it won't be that bad. And Kvyat will have the seat in 2020, I guess, in that case.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think Albon will get similar results to what Gasly has this year. But the difference is that Albon's coming in mid-season. Everybody's had half a season's experience in their cars. So you'd expect it, especially against a guy like Verstappen. But yeah, Gasly has been, anybody who's listened to our podcast, mine, Jackson, Owens, they know the extent of how bad Gasly's been. I mean, he's been lapped by Verstappen at least 2 times. I think he got lapped in Austria, and he probably got lapped in Hungary too, if not a few more times. I'd give him.
At least.
I generally just give him a 1 because he's at least got the car to the finish.
Fair enough.
That is about all you can say. He's been beaten in pure pace by McLarens quite regularly, especially towards in the last few races.
And Kimi's Alpha. Kimi's Alpha is also fighting Gasly sometimes. So
that is also Kimi. Like he can, he can do what most people can't in cars like that. So
yeah, true.
I still can't work out whether Verstappen is seriously pulling up that Red Bull Honda into that 3rd place in the championship, or whether just Gasly's so bad that he's just pulling the rest of it down.
I think it's a bit of both, isn't it?
I don't think Verstappen's driving outside the boundaries of the car. Though. I mean, what was the week like? Would you really expect the Red Bull chassis to be bad? Probably not. You can put money on it being decent. So we should handle well, and yet Red Bull are also topping most speed traps. So all of a sudden they've got power, and you can probably bet the chassis is fine. So
either way, it's bad for Gasly.
On the car. Yeah, no. Well, I'm looking at his results, and I mean, he's only finished out of the points twice, both on account of 3 times. Twice on account of DNS in Azerbaijan and Germany, and Australia he finished 11th, which is probably the most forgivable of all of them, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, he's consistent, maybe. I mean, we've had what?
He's really not.
3 8 2 7s and a couple.
Even the Williamses are consistent.
Well, but I mean, of course they're going to be. Look, he has a flashes of pace. There's that, 4th place in Britain, 5th place in Monaco. Yeah, he can do it, but he needed to have these performances more consistently in the later part of this half. You could forgive him for getting used to the new car and the fact that Red Bull, the factory Red Bull thing, is going to put much more pressure for a young driver. It should have happened by now, so I'll probably give him 3, giving him some benefit of the doubt for the start of the season.
Yeah, you would give him some benefit of doubt for it, but still, I mean, to my knowledge, he's only finished above a fellow top 6 driver on 1 occasion, and that was in Britain when Verstappen and Vettel crashed into each other. Other than that, he's always been behind those guys on track, and that's just unacceptable. You'd expect him to be probably the worst out of those 6, but to be regularly behind all of them, I just think it's inexcusable, and it's not surprising at all that he's been demoted.
The McLarens coming in and spoiling his party have probably put paid to the move. So
yeah, I think the McLarens have been the nail in the coffin, really, haven't they? They've been so good. They've established themselves as the 4th best team really now. Although it'll still be a big battle for the rest of the season. So yeah, Gasly, not very good ratings, to say the least. I think he might well get the lowest out of everybody. Maybe somebody really close to the bottom. But yeah, next up, Carlos Sainz Jr. He's been unbelievable since moving to McLaren. You know, he's really followed on fantastically well from Fernando Alonso in a car that is really coming of age now. He's brilliant. He's clear best of the rest. You know, it's another 27 points back to Kimi Räikkönen in 8th. Brilliant season for him so far, wouldn't you say, Jack?
Absolutely. Again, like looking at the results, he's also only had 3 non-points finishes, same as Gasly actually, 2 DNFs and 1 11th.
Yeah.
So I was saying 4 because of 14th in China, but yeah, like it's insane, like what he's able to do with it. That McLaren's actually coming good now, which is, I mean, you can tell with the pair of them. With Norris giving them a bloody nose a couple of times, like they can fight in that car. Sorry, excuse you,
No, don't.
Get us the 99, Jack.
But yeah, no, I need that window open. I will die otherwise.
I just want to point out it is 30 degrees at this point.
Yeah, that's why I've got the ice slushy. It's absolutely boiling in England right now.
Yeah, where was I? Yeah, it's really impressive to what he's done. He's certainly taken to leading that team quite well. He did have a very good mentor in Alonso. It was quite well documented that Alonso was putting a lot of effort into him. And he certainly seems to have taken to it like a duck to water. He's the sort of driver that McLaren need right now to head him up. And I mean, looking at the trend, he could. Well, Albon might get in the way of this, but he certainly finished 5th quite a few more times, maybe.
Yeah, he's got a very good chance of getting 6th in the championship as well, depending on how Albon gets on for the rest of the season. I'd give Sainz probably like maybe a 9. I've struggled to think what he's done wrong, to be honest. I mean, he had a shaky start to the season, but that's because of reliability. Went the first 3 rounds and didn't score, but after that, it's been consistent points finishes. You know, 7th, 8th, 5th even.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you had to put a number on it, Mikhail, what would you rate Sainz as so far?
I mean, yeah, 9.5. I would have to go as high as that. It's been a perfect season, I guess, for Sainz, considering, you know, going to McLaren instead of continuing in the Red Bull program. Technically, we can still see that path, and it's actually not that bad, because if the McLaren keeps making these kinds of, you know, advances in their performance year by year, I mean, he's going to be fighting for wins in a year or two, hopefully. But no, yeah, I mean, it's been such a great season. I mean, for McLaren overall, but for Sainz specifically. And yeah, I mean, he can finish 6th overall very well, very likely, I think. So yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, brilliant. I think you'll say the same, won't you, Owain? He's been.
Yeah, I mean, he's profited so well off Ricciardo.
Yeah,
like he's you know, it's just he's just done so good. Like him and Norris together have done absolutely brilliantly. Like that team looks reinvigorated. You know, it's back. You know.
Yeah, McLaren are finally back. Dare we say it? We'll get on to Lando Norris as well. He's been a brilliant addition to the Formula One grid this season, both on and off track. Yeah, 8th place. Kimi Räikkönen in the Alfa Romeo. Fantastic again. You know, he could have been driving Ferrari this year potentially, but he's moved to Alfa Romeo. And you know, if there was any questions about his commitment or anything like that, thinking that he's going to get a paycheck for the next 2 years, those have been all wiped away. He's been fantastic, hasn't he, Mikhail?
I mean, yeah, he's been great. It's been an absolute delight to just follow him. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I'll give him a 10. Or, you know, call me patriotic, whatever. I don't care. Just I'll go for a 10.
You're only 10 so far.
The thing is, there is no real comparison. If you use Giovinazzi as a comparison, and you can't. right? You really can't. But yeah, I think he's leading the team. He's kind of an unofficial team principal, I guess, as well, alongside Vasseur. So, and I mean, it's been better for his, like, it's been good for his personal life, I guess, as well, from what I've read and seen. It's, you know, more family time and everything. So I think we'll see his son making the rounds in F4s and everything fairly shortly. I mean, the kid is only 4 years old, but still quite short.
They start young in Finland. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd have to. I wouldn't agree with a 10. I'd probably give him. I'd probably give him at least a 9 though, because again, it's like he has no real comparison. He's been very consistent. He's only not scored in 4 rounds so far this season, and you know, sometimes and the Alfa Romeo car, you could argue overall so far this season has probably been 8th fastest overall. So for him to be 8th in the championship is very impressive. How would you rate him so far, Wayne?
He's really pulled it up. I think it's better for him with the kind of with the environment he's in. There's the lack of the Ferrari pressure, but he's, you know, Kimi will drive no matter what. He doesn't really care. So, you know, just, you know, he's still I'm going to go with 8.5. But it's just, yeah, what has he done wrong? You know, he's had a few mishaps, but you know, sometimes that happens. And you know, he's literally got, what is it, 31 times the points of Giovinazzi.
Yeah, he's quite a bit ahead of his teammate in the championship, a full 30 points ahead, which is a big gap. Not the biggest gap, as we know, between teammates. What would you say then, Jack?
Pretty much the same. I'd give him about 8.5. Another solid team leader. Like it was kind of the idea everyone sort of foresaw, like this will be where Kimi just sort of lets loose a little bit out of the Ferrari pressure, and that's pretty much what he's done. Yeah, he's probably dragging that Alpha up. He's definitely dragging that Alpha up to places where it probably shouldn't be. It doesn't seem quite as competitive as it was last year in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I mean, it's just Kimi doing what Kimi does. I mean, I would expect nothing less, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people could say that Giovinazzi's perhaps not good enough. I don't think that's the case. I think he's a decent driver. Just Kimi's just that much better and more experienced as the ice cream van again.
I'm really sorry.
A lot more experience at driving a midfield car, obviously. So yeah, it's been a very good season for the Iceman so far, as the ice cream van goes past. So now
it's probably Kimi.
Yeah. He does love his ice cream. He does love his ice cream.
Oh, don't even get me started.
So 9th place in the championship, and I'm surprised to see this, but it's absolutely true. 9th place in the championship, Daniel Kvyat. Thanks largely to that podium he got in Hockenheim. Miles ahead of his, what's he miles ahead? How many points is that? 11 points ahead of his teammate in the championship. Could he, or should he have got the move to Red Bull ahead of Albon, Owain?
He's absolutely been unlucky to not get that move. I think, you know, but it's a case of it's how Red Bull and Toro Rosso seem to operate. You know, they know what Kvyat can do. They know his level of performance, and they know what it's like now, so they can see whether that would be better or worse for them. You know, I guarantee that they've probably done some kind of sort of kind of translation across to try and see what Albon can do, and they've probably worked out that, you know, maybe considering his abilities, he might be able to do a little better than Kvyat would be able to, and it's also a good chance to evaluate him in a Red Bull car. But Kvyat's been very unlucky. He's got a third recently. You know, he's not really done badly at all. So it's just a bit unlucky that he's not in a top seat. But he's been pulling out good performances. You know, sometimes they haven't gone so well, but he's been pulling out good performances quite a lot. So, you know, he's been reinvigorated having been away for a year or two. So, you know, I think it's good to see him.
Yeah, I'd give Kvyat 2.0 a decent rating. Probably 7, maybe. I mean, the podium is more than half of his points. It does mask how good he's been, but I think he's been very solid, especially considering he's been away for a year as well. What would you say, Jack? How would you rate Kvyat so far?
I'd probably give him a 7. There is, like you said, Germany is a bit of an outlier, and I think we were discussing beforehand, like it's hard to use Germany as a gauge of drivers because of just how out there it was. He's certainly been good. He's certainly been a lot more impressive. It's a good return, but I think I might understand why Red Bull would have picked Albon over him, because there was still a couple of the old Kvyat behaviours that we have seen. Like he can be a bit aggressive on the dives, he can be a bit controversial on the defending, a bit like Magnussen really, and that's not what Red Bull would need for a second driver. They need someone to consistently bring points in. So Kvyat might be seen as a bit too much of a loose cannon, especially as much as Horner has said that going back to Kvyat as the second Red Bull driver would not be two-faced or anything like that. It would be very negative for them to see. So it's probably quite a political choice more than it's probably 50-50 in terms of political and in terms of ability. Maybe next year, if Albon doesn't impress us enough as they need, we'll have to wait and see. Because I don't think Albon's certainly secure for next year. It's very much going to be a trial by fire for him. But I suppose Kvyat is they know he can perform if they need him to, but they'll just need to try and work on reining him in again.
I think a lot of it is that potentially Kvyat's confidence can be knocked, because I think when he had that really good season when he first joined Red Bull 2015, beat Ricciardo in the same car. A lot of people forget that. But as soon as he lost his way, as soon as he had the incident in China, then he absolutely blew it to pieces in Russia. And yeah, probably was unfairly demoted, but it ended up being the absolute right thing for the team, because look who replaced him, Max Verstappen. Yeah, the torpedo's a bit of a loose cannon, but what's your thoughts, Mikhail?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the Red Bull's plan C for next year. They're going to see if Albon can do anything better than Gasly. If he's not able to do that, I think they'll go with Kvyat. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this season, if you don't look at Germany and look at everything else, I mean, I don't think he's been fighting with Albon, but that's it. So on the basis of the numbers, I'd go with 6.5, I guess.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so the second McLaren driver, who is only 19 years of age, I think, still. Lando Norris in his first season of Formula One. Quite a ways behind his teammate, got less than half the points of Sainz, but obviously Sainz a lot more experienced. How would you rate your season so far, Mikhail?
I mean, it's been an amazing, an amazing way to start his career in Formula One, I guess. I mean, yeah, he's far behind Sainz, but that's to be expected. And he's still, provided a lot of good battles and actually, been fun to watch on and off track, as we mentioned. I mean, yeah, I'd go with an 8. Not much more to say, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with 8 as well. I think he's been hard done by a few times, but it's his first season. He's very inexperienced. He's going to get better with age, just like drivers like Leclerc, like we've mentioned before. How would you rate Lando so far then, Jack?
I'd also probably go with 8. I mean, he has, looking at these, he's had 4 DNFs, which does quite go some way to explain why he's got half of Sainz's points. Given that he got a really frustrating shouldn't have, because that's certainly not all his fault. He's had quite a few mechanical failures that bad luck. And when we have seen him scrapping, he knows what he definitely knows what he's doing. Certainly, he's able to take it to times quite often. To be honest, it just seems he's had a lot more bad luck. So yeah, I'd go with an 8.
Fair enough. Owain?
8.5 for driving, 10 out of 10 for meme ability. Just every like his Instagram is a joy to look at.
Yeah.
And like, apart from the DNFs, he's finished no lower than 12th. So he's really had he's been scoring points. He's been scoring points apart from 3 races over the course of this first half of the season. That's pretty good for a rookie season.
Definitely.
And he's not getting in the big driver's way. He's not putting a foot wrong. He's not being unprofessional or anything. He's that he's doing a lot of work there that's good for McLaren, and good for his points. You know, they need to keep him on. You know, I think some of his points total belies how good he's been.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree. It does belittle how good he's been, because he has been brilliant, especially for like someone so young. I keep saying it, someone so young, someone so inexperienced. It's fantastic to see. His future's very bright for him. Potentially Britain's next world champion after Lewis Hamilton. Who knows? But 11th, and really, really surprising to see this far low down, especially for being the highest Renault driver, Daniel Ricciardo. Now, he left Red Bull, arguably partly because of unreliability, to go to Renault, where his car's been very unreliable. But it's kind of hard to give a rating to him, wouldn't you say, Jack? I think he's been pretty good overall, but at the same time, he's not been anywhere near as high as you would expect, especially for someone like him.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like you say, driving on his current position in the Drivers' Championship, I think that is more of a commentary on Renault than the drivers. Yeah, but I mean, it's obvious. We've seen what he can do. We know he should be higher than this. It's not like moving to this thing would have started with his ability to drive. And we've seen that he does what we know him to do. He's still so aggressive on the brakes. He's still got that racecraft. It's just the car that seems to be marketing him. It seems to be quite a recurring theme. I suspect we'll get to, but. Yeah, if I put another ring, I would give him a 7. Yeah, he's doing what he can, but I mean, like you say, it's hard to rank. So I think that might be more based on past experience, because you're not going to all of a sudden move team and forget how to drive. That's not how it works. So again, it's another 4 DNS as well. So the reliability is a big question mark. I mean, the biggest black mark is probably France, which is perhaps a tiny bit uncharacteristic, but other than that, like, it's just hard to keep a measure on him.
I think he was very unlucky in France to get those penalties like he did, but at the same time, perhaps someone like him shouldn't be taking that risk. But he is the honey badger. He's not exactly known for holding back, especially with overtakes. I agree. I'd probably give him about a 7 as well. He's been good. He's been good enough. He's beaten Hulkenberg so far this season. Trounced him in qualifying, I think, as well. How would you rate him so far, Wayne?
6.5. To me, he's been decidedly, he's been decidedly average. I think, it's just, he's been all right. The car has not been good for him, and I think honestly, it was a bad decision to move to Renault. Honestly, I think
definitely.
I think he's been sold. I think he's been sold a dud. I think they overvalued what they were going to be able to do with the car, overestimated it by a huge amount, and unfortunately, I think he's paid a lot of the price for that. It's really, really gone bad for the team. He's above average. He's doing okay. It's just a shame. I'd put his driver ranking actually that low, if only for making the decision that he needed to be a bit sceptical and look ahead at what Red Bull were going to do. I think it was a bit too emotional, his decision, really, with the Max Verstappen scenario at the time. To be 100% honest with you, that's how I see it. I think he's let himself be sold down the river.
Yeah, it does seem like the wrong decision so far. You never know; it could pay off in 2021, but. Yeah, it could have been emotionally motivated, his move. It could have been a bit of a snap decision, but who knows? We don't know what went on behind closed doors. Mikhail, how would you rate Ricciardo so far?
Yeah, I mean, I would go for a 6. I do agree that it was a mistake, obviously, to leave Red Bull, but obviously we can't say that it would not have been like just complete fireworks this season of like him colliding with Max, I guess. Because I mean, at least from what we've heard, the drama that went behind closed doors, I mean, it's not that great. But I mean, obviously Renault is one of the biggest disappointments of the season. But the fact that he's been able to beat Hulkenberg, give him a 6 for being so low in the standings. But yeah, they need to up their game in the latter half of the season.
Yeah, Renault definitely needs to improve in the second half of the season. Now, another driver who I'm surprised to see this high up and ahead of his teammate, who I rate a lot more highly than him, is Lance Stroll in the Racing Point. His daddy's team. He's doing the bits for his daddy's team. It's unbelievable. Again, a bit like Kvyat, the Germany result definitely helped him a lot. Aside from that fourth place, he's only got three ninths. That's it. But at the end of the day, ahead of his teammate. So how would you rate him, Owain?
He's kind of passed me by a little bit, but I don't think he's just, on the occasions he has scored points, he's scored what is it, 2 points each time? Taking out that fourth place. It's the fourth place that's saving him there, and it's put him right up the standings. I don't think he's that good. It doesn't matter what we really rate him, because no matter how bad he is, how bad would he have to be kicked out of that team? That's the real question. I don't think he's going to get kicked out, so he can kind of do what he wants. It's just, he's just been a bit sort of not really there. It's just...
Yeah, he's just been kind of making up the numbers a little bit. He's done all right, I think, but nothing special. And that fourth place really does make it seem like it's been a lot better than what it actually has been for him. I mean, he's been all right. He's not been great. I'd probably give him like a 5, maybe. He's just been average. Nothing really that special. What would you say, Mikhail?
I'd give him, I guess 5 or 5.5, I guess, something around that. Because, obviously Germany inflates his results a lot. And I think someone's going to have to check me on this. But I think he's lost to Perez in qualifying apart from 1 or 2 occasions this season. Yeah. So he hasn't been that good in qualifying at all. He's been constantly eliminated in Q1. So, I mean, it's tough to say, because at the same time, you need to look at the standings to say how good he is. And according to those, he's better than Perez, which he's not. But I'll give him a 5.5.
I don't think he's got out of Q1 at all this season. I know he's not out-qualified Perez either. Been really, really bad in qualifying. He's always struggled to get that one-lap pace together. But obviously, the race is where the points happen, so perhaps in that way it doesn't matter. What would you say, Jack? How would you rate Lance Stroll so far?
I think you've kind of sort of led on to my point quite nicely, actually, because I'd give him a 6, mainly because, yes, he hasn't got that one-lap pace, but he's always been fighting through from the 9th row of the grid or something like that. It's true, he shouldn't be qualifying 18th every time. I know the racing plan's not great, but he should be at least, you'd want him to be somewhere near Perez, which he isn't on one lap. But every time he is dragging it back through the field. He's had 1 DNF, but he is at least getting through and finishing races. There's different aspects. He's not putting the car in, because he got criticised quite a bit last year, putting the car in dangerous position and sort of looking to be taken out by someone else's crash. Whereas now he's maybe more focusing on at least getting the finishes and getting the points where he can. No, he's not as good as Perez. I don't think that's really up a question, but he's making sure that he gets the finishes. And at the end of the day, if you want to keep your drive, you need to at least bring the car home and not.
Yeah, nothing as much question whether he'll keep his drive or not. But like I always say about him, perhaps he's not good enough. I think he is good enough. I think he's all right. There are better drivers out there that would deserve that seat more, I think. But at the end of the day as well, he's only 20 years old. That's 2 years younger than Hamilton when he made his debut. I think it's as old as Vettel when he made his debut. And he's in his 3rd season, I think, now. So it's a hard one to judge. It's not an easy one to judge. I don't think he's been particular. There's definitely been worse drivers this season than him. Now, moving on. We mentioned K-Man briefly before. He's in 13th in the standings, on the same amount of points as Lance Stroll. But in a Haas car that is very much the opposite of Lance Stroll. It's fantastic. Sorry, it's really, really good in the qualifying, but in the race, it struggled massively for most of the season. How would you rate Magnussen so far, Jack? It's a difficult one to call, I think, this.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like they started off quite strong. I mean, well, looking at these, he's got a sixth place in Australia, and that's his highest place finish. The Haas has slipped a lot. Like the car performance in general has slipped a lot. I give them a 6, more based on some questionable driving that we have occasionally seen. But both the Haas drivers can be criticised of that due to their seemingly magnetised together. Yeah, it is hard, but I'd say a 6. He's good when he needs to be, but he needs to be better than what he's been producing. Sorry, that aggression is great, but he needs to learn how to actually apply it properly without destroying the car or something like that, or someone else's race.
Yeah, and I think he's in his 5th season of Formula One now, so you hope he would have that rounded off now that he'd be able to do that. But I think it's probably frustrating. He seems like a very emotional person, K-Mag. So yeah, I'd probably go with like a 6 as well. He is beating his teammate, and that's what you should ask of someone. That's the only person you can compare to directly. But obviously, yeah, he is making mistakes. But I think that is because the car's so bad, he's just getting frustrated with it. What do you think, Owain? How would you rate Magnussen so far?
Just really not going well. I mean, he's got a run of non-points finishes. Like from Spain to from Spain to Germany, he hasn't gained a point. And it's only Germany where he's got those 4 points for the eighth place finish. But then again, that's an anomalous race. You can't even take it into account. If Germany had been dry, I think that would have been a 0 points as well. So it would have been a massive run of no points. And I think that's the car. I think he's doing okay with it. It's just not good. It's really not good. And part of me thinks, he's collided with his teammate quite a lot. The other part of me goes, well, if you know that that's happened 3 or 4 times in the past, just go, right, I'm just gonna make it so that I'm never around him on track, basically. Unfortunately, they're too close in driver skill, so the only way he'd be able to do it would be to yield all the time. I just don't think he's got that driving talent to take him past his teammate. I think his teammate has come off worse, which is why he's so far down. It's a 6.5 sort of thing, kind of rating, really.
Yeah. Yeah, difficult one to call, but he definitely could have done better. There's no doubt about that. What do you think, Mikhail?
Yeah, I'll go with a 6, I guess. He could have definitely done better. The Haas car, it's been weird this season. I mean, Günther Steiner himself, he said that it's the weirdest car he's ever dealt with, I guess, because it's such during some weekends, especially on Saturdays, it's such a great car, able to compete even with, definitely with McLaren, I guess. But then in the race, they just completely fall behind. And this time, it's not only because of Lewis tire nuts or anything like that. It's just because they don't have a car that can drive for 60 laps. So, yeah, Magnussen has beaten Grosjean, in the standings and otherwise. The fact that they keep clashing into each other, I think, one of them is out after the end of the season, and I don't think it's going to be K-Mag.
Yeah, I think there's a very real possibility that Grosjean could be dropped at the end of the season as well, but obviously we'll get onto that. 14th in the standings, Nico Hulkenberg, second Renault. Behind the Haas, despite the Haas's huge struggles in the race. Again, maybe another driver that's kind of hard to put a finger on, but I think he has been disappointing. He's the driver who's got the longest non-podium streak in F1 history. And I think there's a real chance that he should have got that 3rd place in Germany. But again, he crashed when the pressure was on. So I'd probably give him a 5. Just overall, he's been quite average. He's been all right. He's not expected to beat Ricciardo, but he's not been that far behind him either. What do you think, Mikhail? How do you rate Hulkenberg?
I don't know. I'd go for a 4, just for the fact that as you mentioned, he hasn't been able to get a podium. It's not like we expect him to get a podium on Renault or anything, but he hasn't been able to really do the performances to give him even the possibility to get the podium. The few times he has it, like Azerbaijan last year, Germany this year, even though there are somewhat anomalies, still he's not able to, really make that next step that he should have done 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, I'll give him a 4 on the basis that he's really just very much stagnating on the level he is, and it's starting to threaten his seat as well. So a 4.
Jack, how would you say the Hulk's been so far?
It's difficult. Like you say, beyond the house, it is literally by 1 point. Yeah, I kind of agree with Mikhail though. He's starting to stagnate. I give him maybe a 5.5. We know the Renault is not great, and as we said, we can talk about Ricciardo, but it is true. Like he needs to start capitalising on opportunities, and Germany was a great opportunity. Yes, anyone could have been caught out, and he was kind of unlucky it was him, but it has happened various times now, and yeah, like he does need to sort of bring the consistency back a little bit. I still think he's a great driver. He's probably the best match for Ricciardo in terms of how aggressive he can be. But yeah, I think Mikhail said it perfectly. He's starting to stagnate a little.
I think you're going to concur with us, aren't you, Owen, about Hulkenberg?
Yeah, it's not good. The weird thing is, this is a Le Mans winner. This is not
driver.
This is not a slow driver. This is, someone who's got poles, not podiums, but poles and got very, very close. And he should be very, very good. But I think he's just going to go down as one of those drivers, especially just with the results this season and how it's gone. Is it's just okay, like decidedly okay at sort of a 5 or a 5.5, maybe if we're being nice. It's just not enough. It's not good enough, really.
Do you think his seat's under threat for next season?
I mean, who can go into it? There's
Ocon. There's rumours about Ocon going to Renault.
I don't. Personally, I think Ocon would end up. He's more likely to end up at Williams than anywhere else. Maybe the Racing Point, but probably not.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. I don't see Ocon going in. If only because I don't. Actually, there's more chance to progress in the Renault, I guess. Then it's just not good. Just I can't really describe it. It's just bad. Ultimately, that's the performance of Hulkenberg. Is just kind of bad.
Well, someone who's not been kind of bad, I'd say has been more than kind of good and an upgrade to the senior team. Alexander Albon, 15th overall in standings. And that is a bit harsh on him, though. He's only 11 points behind Kubica, his teammate, despite being 6th place in the standings lower. Really shown flashes of brilliance. And I think, again, another young driver who's really impressed us. Like someone who was tossed out by Red Bull like 3-4 years ago. He kept racing for the junior series. Did really well in F2 last year, and he's come into F1, and he's really shown some more experienced drivers how it's done. I think he's been brilliant. I'd probably give him at least an 8, genuinely, especially considering it's his first season too. How do you rate him, Jack? How do you rate Alexander Albon?
I'd probably give him a 7. Like for a rookie season, he's definitely. He's impressed. He's probably not my rookie of choice. That would probably go to Norris. But yeah, I mean, well, clearly someone sees something in him to be a decent replacement for Gasly. But I mean, Kvyat has done more, but then again, Kvyat has more experience, so you probably expect that. I mean, it's probably exaggerated. Like the exactly how far down he is exaggerated by the classic F1.5 characteristics of it just being so close. Like you say, 11 points, and that's what 4 or 5 positions at least.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's either way. A day for a debut season, very impressive, very very impressive.
How would you rate him then, Owain?
Just is really well, really high. You know, 8.5 even. You know, he's just seemed to be able to capitalise when he needs to. You know, when an opportunity comes his way, or the cards don't go his way in qualifying or something like that, and he still manages to pull out. You know, going from the pit lane to ending up in 10th or you know, positions like that. You know, picking up a 6th place in Germany. You know, he was staying in managing to get 10th in Hungary. Like he's got a few areas where he's managed to pick up the points, capitalised on other people's mistakes, driven pretty well. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in a Red Bull car. That's the biggest question. I think the biggest question will become of him in a Red Bull car. You know, what can he do compared to Gasly, or what Gasly could do, and compared to Verstappen. You know, I'm not expecting him to get in and be Verstappen's level, but if he can do better than Gasly can, then surely that's a good thing, and I think that will probably get him the seat, really. You know, but he's just driven so well.
Yeah, I think he'll do well in Red Bull too. He won't be anywhere near Verstappen, but he'll be, you know, if he can get 6th by the end of the season overall, I think he'll done a very good job. What do you think, Mikhail? How would you rate Albon so far?
I'd go for, I think, 7.5, 8, because he's been doing well for a rookie season, and I mean, we're gonna come to, for example, Giovinazzi soon, so he's been far better than him. I mean, because of Germany, Fiat is not exactly a perfect comparison, also because he's more experienced. And, I mean, Albon himself also did great in Germany. He just wasn't as lucky as Fiat, I guess, with the tire strategy. So, yeah, I'll turn to a full-on 8. I'll give him an 8 for this, and I'm excited to see how far he's able to do. If he's able to even fight a little bit with the Ferraris, he will most likely get the seat in 2020, probably.
Yeah, totally agree. So moving on, Sergio Perez, a man that I'm really shocked to see that far down the grid, and a man who hasn't scored a point since Azerbaijan. It's a run of, how many races is that? 8 races without any points, which is really bad. But again, is it kind of like a Kimi Räikkönen Alpha? Or is it the car that's the problem here rather than the driver, Jack?
I think so. Like, without Stroll's 4th place in Germany, this is probably where he would be roughly. He's close, well, considering, but it's quite inconsistent in what the car is able to let him deliver. He's been getting close to points when he has been as well in the past. 6 races, 3 12ths and 2 11ths. So yeah, like, I think it is more the car masking the capability. We know Checo's good. I mean, so yeah, he probably is performing higher than Stroll, and it is just that lucky break that Stroll got that put him where he is.
Yeah. Owain?
It's uncharacteristically low for him. Normally, he's really quite good at, you know, being able to take, you know, even in his first season at Sauber, you know, being able to take a car that is maybe not so great, but, you know, using his strengths, which is obviously making tyres last and things like that, to get into good positions by the end. Sometimes you get a bit unlucky. I think the Racing Point is, you know, down on performance compared to where it should be. But I think that's probably due to a bit of the personnel change. So, you know, it was up in the air with the 2019 development. So I think that's probably dropped the car back a bit. But it's surprising to see him that far down. And I think, Stroll really had the good fortune of Germany. So yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been sort of 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I'd be a bit more negative and probably give him like a 5.5, just because Azerbaijan, he did really, really well there. Other than that, it's been a very average season. What do you think, Mikhail?
Yeah, I'll go for a 5. I think the thing is, obviously, it's a very bad car. We can't overlook that fact, but at the same time, he should be able to score some points, even on an, you know, on one of the 8 races there was. I mean, discounting Germany because Stroll got the unfair advantage statistically there or in the rankings. But yeah, I mean, I'll give him a 5 because this is probably one of his worst seasons, I guess, just considering the car and how he's performing with the car. And I think we're also seeing him get a little bit frustrated as well. So, I mean, we can imagine he's not going to move away from Racing Point for 2020. So if they're not able to, produce a car that's able to fight for points consistently, could we see an exit of Sergio Perez from the sport? I don't know.
It's possible. I don't think it'll happen. I think he'll stay for another year, but it's definitely possible. Now, Romain Grosjean, 17th in the standings with a Haas. I mean, we know he can struggle. We know he's very inconsistent at times, but to see him that far down the standings, even considering how bad the Haas has been, that's a big disappointment, wouldn't you say, Mikhail?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's been an awful season for him, and I don't know how far. Is it 5 or 6 non-finished races? I can't remember correctly.
It's 6. It's 6 races.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'll give him a 3 because he's not really able to perform even on Magnussen's level. So it's a season to forget for him, but we'll see if he's able to, have another one. It's a sad swan song to go away with.
Yeah, I think it could well be his last season in the sport. I think he said a couple of years ago he'd like to race till he's 40 in F1. I think he'll be lucky to make it to 33 or 34, however old he is now. What do you think, Jack? How would you rate Grosjean this season so far?
I'd say it's a 3. Yeah. It's like we always say, the first one you've got to beat your teammate, and Magnussen is wiping the floor with him. Yes, he's been unlucky with non-finishes, but there's 3 points finishes in his season so far, and Germany got him 6 points on it driving. Otherwise, it's 2 tenths. The car's not great, but I reckon he's dropped the form. And it's sort of been magnified since he's been into the season. I can't give him higher than a 3.
Yeah, I think 3.5 is probably fair. What do you think, Owen?
I think he's been shielded a lot from a lot of the criticisms by the car not being great. Obviously hit Rich Energy and Haas's
Don't mention Rich Energy.
I've got to mention it. Yes, I've got it in.
I forgot about this. Yeah, this has got to be one of the weirdest stories in F1 history.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristic that we haven't heard anything in the summer break for about it. But yeah, it's taken a lot of the issues off, and he's not good. He's really not very good. He's fast at times. But we were talking about, a few years ago, we were talking about someone who could be a Ferrari driver, and he's never ever shown that he's got enough potential to perform in that seat. Actually, no, he's never ever shown that he's got the ability to convert on his potential to perform in that seat, and he's just not good. 6. It's just I feel sorry for the guy. It's just not. It's really not good at all.
Yeah. I think there's a very real possibility he'll be replaced for 2020. With who? I don't know. But
Mick Schumacher.
He won't have enough super license, will he?
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. But
you never know. But yeah, I think I can't see him doing that. But I think if there's someone good enough that you can get replaced by, he'll be out the door, definitely. So someone who might be on the way out, but someone that might be who's only made their way in, if I can say it right, this season, Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, 1 point this season so far, compared to his teammates 31. But I think that's belittling how good he's been. I think he's been all right. But at the same time, he's going to be under pressure because 1 point's finished in 12 races compared to Kimi's 8 in 12. And he's only retired once, probably, I think with a mechanical failure in Britain. It was a crash actually in Britain, wasn't it? So yeah, I'd probably go with 4.5, just a little bit below average, not quite good enough. He should have scored some more points than what he has done. How would you rate him so far, Wayne?
Yeah, 4.5. I'd agree with you. You know, I wouldn't expect him to get the sort of amounts of points that Kimi can get, because Kimi, let's not forget, is a world champion. You know, he's very, very good. It's just, yeah, he's just average, really. He's probably putting in the performances of where the car actually is, sort of that 13th spot. But he's just not been great. He's not been bad, but he's not been great. You know, he's not brought attention to himself for the wrong reasons, but not really brought attention to himself for the right reasons either. So yeah, 4.5.
Jack?
I don't think I could be that nice to him. I'd say 4. Yeah, obviously it's hard to be compared to Kimi, but I reckon that Sauber's probably, it should be ahead of at least one of the Hasses, I'd say. Like when he was subbing in at Sauber, he was a proper super sub. He did things with that car that we thought he wouldn't be able to do. And now he's got that full-time seat. I'd expect more. Like I understand it's he's only just come in, but even so, like he's not a complete rookie. He's not starting fresh face like some of these guys. I just think he should be doing a little bit better. I understand who's up against, but I was expecting more. Bit of a disappointment.
Yeah. I think he's got some more points finishes in him though. Belgium and Italy should be good races for the Alpha, so you'll be expected to get something there probably. What do you say, Mikhail? How would you rate Giovinazzi so
far? I'll give him a 3. It hasn't been the greatest season. It's not what anyone probably hoped for. But yeah, obviously we can't really compare. Or we should be comparing him to Kimi in some aspects, but at the same time, it's there's a drastic difference between the two. And yeah, definitely he should be doing better. He's lucky that Mick Schumacher hasn't had more success in F2. Otherwise, he might have his seat in danger for next year. And that Sauber doesn't have really anyone else coming up either, or Ferrari. So yeah, I'll give him a 3. I don't know if he'll get more point finishes because maybe Belgium or Monza. It depends how much. Yeah, actually, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just give him a 3.
Fair enough. 19th in the standings, the last man who has scored a point, Robert Kubica in the Williams. Now, a guy that I was looking forward to hugely coming back to F1. I'm so excited to see him back. But what a disappointment it's been for him. Yes, he is ahead of his teammate in the standings, but that does not tell the full story at all, does it, Mikhail?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's funny that he is ahead. And yeah, both Williamses have finished all races, but I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, to be fair, yeah. I mean, what else can you give him? But well, I mean, I'll give him a 2. He gets the 1 point plus from the race in Germany. But yeah, it's compared to Russell, he's nowhere near. Compared to anyone else, he's nowhere near. I mean, it's great, I guess, to have him back for a season, but I mean, I will be very shocked if he's still in the grid next year. I mean, it's great to have the Polish fans back, I guess, more fans, more interest, but I'll give him a 2 just because of Germany. But yeah, he should be on the way out.
Yeah, I think let me just turn that off. There you go. Yeah, I think he's just had too long out of the sport. I mean, he's had 8 seasons out, didn't race between 2011 and 2018.
Yeah.
He's 34 now, and for any driver to come in after such a long break, it's hard. But someone with the injury that he had, with the lack of mobility he has in his, I think it's his left arm or his right arm,
the right arm.
Yeah, the right arm. It's a massive ask, and when you think about it, it's not a huge point that not a huge surprise that he's fallen so far short. Wouldn't you say, Owain?
I'm about to be a bit horrible, but
for
1.5-handed drivers, like a good 9 out of 10 on that one. But
no, it's a hell of a recovery to get back. It's a massive.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see him in the sport, but I don't think he deserves to be here. He's just, unfortunately, we see footballers get dogged by injury and not reach their full potential. I want to know who at Renault at the time let him do that rally, back what is it, 8 years ago? Because I really think that was the biggest mistake. And it's just a freak accident that's happened, and unfortunately, it's put him out. And I really don't think he's been lucky in that he's picked up that 10th place in Germany. But we've said it for all the other drivers who picked up anomalous, points that were absurdly high, unusually high for Germany. Russell really should be ahead, because Russell's putting in performances that get him up to, he's consistently in the first half of the season, 16th and 15th was his average. He's had a couple of very low place finishes, but apart from that, he's been up as high as 14th, and 11th. So he's done so well in a car that should be. He should have finished 18th every single race. And he's not finished 18th every single race, which is astounding for George Russell. So looking at Kubica, it's just not good enough, unfortunately.
No, Kubica's miles off. I like Gasly. I just give him a 1. At least he's brought the car home. They finished every race, Williams, which is impressive in itself. But at the same time, they're probably just not pushing that car fully because they can't, because it's so unreliable in terms of the performance. Massive disappointment for Kubica so far, wouldn't you say, Jack?
Yeah, I can't give him a 1. I like Kubica too much. I am biased there, but yeah, it's disappointing, but not surprising. Being realistic, I was 1 to 4 for the hype train. It's like, he's coming back. It's going to be amazing because he was so great beforehand. And come on, after that sort of injury, hell, even we've heard about drivers coming back with lesser injuries than that, and there being a shadow with in the shell. So I give him a 2. He's not. Russell's walked all over him. He hasn't. It's probably only a 2 and not a 1, because for the same reason as Hamilton hasn't run away with anything. Russell has almost, but not quite. So yeah, I'd say a 2. I mean, it's like what Wayne said. It's fantastic that he's back, and it did complete the fairy tale of him actually making it back. But being realistic, this was as good as it was going to get. And even Germany, if the Alphas had finished had stood, they wouldn't have scored the points anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Lastly, the only man not to score a point, but that is so unfair on the guy. I mentioned before that Lando Norris will be Britain's next world champion in F1. It could well be this guy in the future. Who knows? George Russell's really impressed me this season. It's really hard to judge on how he's done, because the Williams is so far off any other car. Honestly, he's been so impressive. I'd give him at least a 9, genuinely, because it's hard. It's impossible to compare him to anybody else other than Kubica, and he's absolutely trounced him. What would you say, Jack?
Yeah, I'd probably give him an 8. Like you say, it's hard to gauge with the Williams having been so far off. I'd say it's certainly more worth keeping an eye on them now, because the Williams have slowly got closer and closer, and they're now actually within not impossible distance to the Haas and Gio Sauber or Alpha. So this could be quite interesting for Russell. Yes, he'll be kicking himself and screaming at everything because he didn't get that point in Germany, unlike Kubica. So I reckon we could see a couple of surprising results, assuming that the progression of teams has remained the same since before the summer break, which in theory it should have. So,
Wayne?
Keep an eye on.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. I think I messed up what I was meant to say for Kubica, but basically, yeah, Kubica really should have been 20th. Russell should have been 19th with the car he's in. He's not been 19th all season. He's been doing very, very well up there. So, yeah, Russell just, You can only compare him to Kubica, and he's just been outclassing him at every opportunity apart from Germany, and he's just been so good pulling that car up. And they always say, you can see the great drivers pulling out amazing results from cars that are substandard. Ayrton Senna with the Tolman that he debuted in, and Sebastian Vettel with the Toro Rosso that he came in. But it's that Williams is awful, and George Russell is pulling out 15th places from it fairly regularly. I think that's incredible. He's so good.
Yeah. I think you agree, won't you, Mikhail?
Yeah, I'd give him a 7. I mean, it's really difficult to judge, I guess. But yeah, I mean, he's done way better than Kubica has. But yeah, is he gonna score any points this season? It's a tough call. Maybe with rain in Singapore, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, it's a solid first season for him but we just have to cross our fingers and hope that Williams gets their act together in 2020, or at least in 2021 if he doesn't move up before that.
Okay, so we've done all the drivers. We've got this has gone on for quite a bit longer than I thought it would do. But let's quickly preview the Belgian Grand Prix because it is on this weekend. Let's go through it very quickly. Let's go podium predictions. I'll start us off. I'll push the boat out. I'll go Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas. Genuinely, I do think Ferrari will be good there. Ferrari were really good there last year. They're really good on the long straights, and yeah, they're quite good in the heat as well. It's meant to be quite hot in Belgium this weekend. It's meant to be only 30 degrees on Saturday, so I genuinely think that could be the podium. But knowing me, I'll probably be completely wrong. Oh, Wayne, you laughed at my predictions. What are yours?
I'm going to go Verstappen because I think he can do it. I'm going to go Verstappen, Leclerc, and I'm going to drop Leclerc down one. Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc. I think that'll probably be the order because the Honda's got decent power. The Red Bull is a decent chassis. It's a very efficient downforce that the Red Bull has got, and that matters around Spa. We've got high speed turns. We've got fairly long straights and stretches of throttle, and the slow bits you do need to have good mechanical grip, and I think the Red Bull's got all of that. The Mercedes will come back. It's got really nice downforce. It's good through the slow speed as well, and the power unit's not bad either. I don't know about Vettel, to be honest, so that's why I've put Leclerc above, because I think that Ferrari is going to be quick.
Fair enough. Mikhail?
I'd go for Hamilton, Vettel, and Albon. I'm gonna say that Leclerc and Verstappen bin it in the first corner.
Ooh, all right.
And that's why they won't be there. I don't think if there is heat, Mercedes is gonna have trouble, which means Bottas is not gonna be on podium. I think Hamilton will pull it through. So I'll go for Hamilton, Vettel, Albon podium. I'll probably be wrong, but I'll take the odds.
Okay, all right. Jack?
Yeah, going by if it's going to be hot, I'd say Leclerc will get his first win. But I still make it so be Leclerc, Hamilton, and Verstappen. And I'd say Albon maybe fourth.
When I say it's going to be hot, I mean hot for Belgium standards. I went to the race last year and I was absolutely freezing my arse off with a coat on in August. It's horrible weather there most of the time. It's meant to be about 28 degrees, so probably about 40 degrees track temperature. It's not quite Austria and Canada, but it's getting up there. Yeah. Let's just go with a bold prediction now. I'll do mine first. I think that because it's power circuit and because the Force India, Jordan, whatever they've been throughout history have always gone well there. I think Perez will end his pointless streak in Belgium. I think he'll do quite well. And I also think there's a good chance that Giovinazzi might score points too, because that Alfa is a beast on the straights. What's your bold prediction then, Owain?
Russell for points.
Wow.
If they trim out that Williams, it might be good. It's got a Mercedes power unit.
That quick.
It's got Mercedes power unit. It should be alright.
But
I can't see that. I really can't see that in a month for Sunday.
I just want him to get. It'll probably rain.
Yeah.
Hopefully it rains or race day. There we go.
It's not meant to, but it is Spa. It's not very accurate with weather forecasting. Mikhail, what's your bold prediction?
Kimi 5th, and Perez gets points.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. The Alpha is a beast, as you said. Kimi is the king of Spa. We all know it. And I said that Leclerc and Verstappen are going to beat it anyway. So I would put Kimi on 5th, but that is with the assumption that Leclerc and Verstappen don't finish.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's not too outlandish. Jack, what's yours?
Probably something along the lines of Russell scoring points, or 8 points, and all 4 Honda scoring points.
Ooh, wow, that is very bold.
I think the Hondas are good. They'll probably do it.
I think Toro Rosso will struggle to score points this weekend. But imagine the scenes if Gasly got 5th or something.
Albon has to beat Gasly handily.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
I think he will. But he's under a lot of pressure, Albon. He really is. It'll be interesting to see how he performs. But yeah, that is the first Grid Talk podcast. Thank you for all joining us. Thank you, Owain. Thank you, Jack.
Great.
Thank you, Mikhail, for being on this. It's been great having you. And we'll be back a week today to review the Belgian Grand Prix and see how wrong we got our predictions, because that will happen. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Don't actually leave the chat. I need to do the intro now. That's the outro. So
okay.
Just be a minute. Don't worry. All right. Hello and welcome to the first Grid Talk podcast, where we will be previewing this weekend's Belgian Grand Prix and rating the drivers' seasons up until now. Hosting today will be me, George Howson, and joining me are Mikhail Kataya. Did I say that right? Mikhail Kataya.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's the closest I've had anyone foreigner say it.
Say right.
Good job.
Here are the really hard ones though. Jack Watson and Wayne Bedford.
Very funny. Good afternoon.
It's fair to say that I think we've pretty much agreed on a lot of the drivers' ratings, but obviously we are very opinionated and we gave some very interesting predictions for this weekend's race, including some very, very unlikely point scores. But who knows? One of us could be right with it. Stay tuned for that. Okay, that's great. I think that's everything now.
That's going to be really awkward because, if anyone sees the video, it would just be like us very sweaty, and then we'll get well preened earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be guessing what this is most of the time. What the hell has he got there? Tell them what it is. But yeah, I think that's all good. Yeah, I'll let you know about the podcast next. We'll probably do it Monday again, something like that. I'll see what everybody's availability is. But yeah, thank you so much for bearing with us, and thank God for the internet working today. It actually worked.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, finally.
Okay.
With the computer downstairs. But yeah, thank you very much, lads. See you soon.
Yep.
Great. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.